As a specialist in geriatrics, I've been examining such patients for more than 20 years, and all I know is that they're all patients of a monster disease called Alzheimer's, but still have no clue as to what causes Alzheimer's and how to treat Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's disease is a name for a group of conditions which basically is what is called as the dementias. Now, dementias are a group of acquired degenerative conditions of the brain wherein the brain functions like memory, thinking and so on get affected and they deteriorate later on in life.
More than 4 million people in India suffer from Alzheimer's today, and the number is expected to double by 2030. But till date, the medical fraternity has no conclusive opinion about what causes Alzheimer's and how to cure a patient of Alzheimer's.
If the number of people who have Alzheimer's disease for people who are above the age of 65 is about 3 to 5%. If you collect a whole group of people who are 80 years and above, say 100 people, you will find that about 20% of them might have dementia.
Dementia has become a silent epidemic. There have been a consistent increase in the dementia patients. For instance, in 1901, there were 12 million old people, or older people, if you could say. Whereas when you come to 2001, it goes to 77 million. And in 2010, it becomes 100 million. And the projected rate at the year of 2025 is 177 million.
With advanced medical care, there has been an increase in the life expectancy. Thus, people are living longer. So when people live longer, the more they are prone to develop health problems.
No matter who you are and no matter where you are, if the monster wants you, he's going to get you. And this is exactly what happened to M.A. Ramchandra Rao, my mentor, my hero, and my father.
He retired as a professor of physics as well as principal. He was involved in advisory body of many colleges and in the university. He was also working for some business management school. Unfortunately, it was when he was about 80-years old. I had a pleasure of meeting him, but I wish it was in a different circumstance.
By the time we realized that my father had Alzheimer's disease and dementia, it was already very late. We had lost probably several years.
He was one day brought to our institution by his family members, asking me to see him and give an opinion about him. I started taking the history from his daughter and his wife. The shrinkage of the brain was slightly more in certain areas, that is in the anterior part of the brain, as well as in the middle part of the brain, what we call as the frontal lobe, as well as the temporal lobe. But one of the important things is he is 80-years old. Naturally, there is an aging process which is there. And the age also brings down or reduces the brain volume.
This front area is the area where all our intelligence is stored. That is what is called the prefrontal cortex. And that is what is essential for our cognition. Okay? And as you move backwards, sidewise here, inside this area we got a hearing center, the emotional center and the memory center. This area is called a parietal cortex. This area has got the sensation perception and also understanding of the language. This part is for our vision, color perception and a movement perception. All the three are located here. Okay? And this is the cerebellum, what we call the small brain for your movement. And then this is the area where all your fiber tracts are going down for you to perceive it. And this is the blood vessel of the brain You can see the blood vessels here. That is the one that go and supply the blood supply to the brain.
Once the diagnosis is decided by the clinician, then you stage the dementia. And that is, it is divided into mild, moderate, and severe stages. In the mild stage, the person has some memory deficits and he is not able to do some activities.
Only if we study the brain, there are some changes. But the patient does not have any symptoms.
He was asked about the questions regarding the capital of the country, or who were the prime ministers, and who got the independence for the country. It was all nothing for him. But here is a family member who is telling that he is not able to recognize his own wife and not able to remember the things what he has taken in the morning.
And he failed to recognize me also. He said, somebody else has come to my home and she is cheating you.
We started asking the tougher questions and the way of bringing out what was the problem. Then it came out that definitely he was depressed, and because he was depressed, his performance was definitely below par.
He used to go for walks and all that, so slowly he began to forget. Coming back home, he used to forget the road.
He has two types of dementia which was mixed, what we call as a mixed dementia. One is vascular dementia, which is due to reduction of the blood supply to the brain. And the second one was the aging of the brain, which leads to dementia. The commonest variety of that is what we call as degenerative dementia, what is popularly known as Alzheimer's disease.
Compare this brain with this brain here. Now this brain is shrunken. And also you can see the grooves very, very prominent when compared to this. That's the old age brain. Not Alzheimer's. I'm not telling it's Alzheimer's, but the old age. That means it happens for every one of us. Shrinkage happens in the brain. Okay? And we are born with 86 billion neurons, and we start losing them regularly. These neurons, we start losing them. So this is the old age brain. Same thing happens in case of an Alzheimer's disease. Because in Alzheimer's disease also, we lose neurons, and these grooves become very, very prominent. And that is what doctors make use of when they do MRI.
My mother-in-law and Prabha were to go to Mysore once. They were to go to attend a function, family function. So he said he will go and buy the ticket. He will book the ticket. So he went to the bus stand and bought the ticket. Instead of to Mysore, he bought the tickets to Bangalore. And he came back. So when I took these people to the bus stand to send them off, I saw the ticket is bought to Bangalore, not to Mysore. So that was when he was probably losing his memory.
When memory loss interferes with daily life and it's noticeable by others, that's the time it is dementia. And it is not only memory at that time, there is some disorder of thinking, disorder of language, behavior, calculation, so many other orientation, so many other aspects also start getting impaired at that stage.
By the time the person reaches the moderate stage, he progresses into the moderate stage, he, in addition to the thinking difficulties and the memory difficulties he has, he will also have difficulty with doing activities of daily living. So he'll have difficulty with his daily activities, whether it is bathing, eating, sleeping, dressing, and also difficulty with going to the bank, buying provisions, and so on. So that is the moderate stage.
We know that as we age, the number of neurons is going to come down. It's a natural deterioration in the number, and that is why we see age-related memory loss. But what if the rate of cell loss, the rate of neuronal loss is accelerated in a particular individual? So if I have two people, both at age 50, one has lost way more neurons than the other one. So that is what is Alzheimer's disease. When the disease starts, the cell loss is accelerated. So the neuronal loss that is happening in a particular individual is way more or faster than another person the same age. And that's why I said we don't know why that happens. We are not clear as to why that process happens in certain people. There is a genetic cause, happens in 1 to 2% of people is genetic, but for the vast majority who suffer from Alzheimer's disease, we still don't know what has triggered off that process.
The second area of functioning which is affected is because there are behavioral symptoms. So behavioral symptoms are like depression, other difficulties with emotions, apathy or being, having a lot of inertia to do things. There might also be things like hallucinations, aggression, sexually inappropriate behavior, not being able to sleep, and so on. And so these behavioral symptoms are very important because it is these behavioral symptoms that cause a lot of problem or difficulty for the family.
When he sleeps, he would be fine. Then he'll get up in the middle of the night, say 3 o'clock or something. Then he would go to the bathroom and he'll find a wire or something and he'll think it's a telephone and he would speak loudly to his old friends who are no more. And if my mother asked, like, no, Manil Srinivas Nayak has called, my mother would say, he's dead and gone long back. I'm getting the phone call. How can you say that?
When people get old and they have memory problems, many family members say that, okay, he's having some memory problems, we can manage that. He's getting old, he's having memory problems. But when there are behavioral problems and there is a change in the person's personality, then it becomes a problem to handle. The third thing which is affected is activities of daily living.
One day he went away from home. He just disappeared. We didn't know where he had gone because suddenly we see him not there at all. Then we went looking for him everywhere. Both of us went in different directions. We went to the usual places where he used to go, but we never found him there. Then after about 2 hours or 2.5 hours, we see him coming back with only dhoti and banyan, not even chappals, nothing. Where he had gone, we don't know. Still we don't know.
He thinks we are pushing him into something and he wouldn't move forward or backward. It's raining heavily. I can't leave him and even bring an umbrella. Then like my mother came and when mother spoke to him little calmly, he sat. At least that was better. Then we didn't know what to do. We have to shift him. Then he was crawling in that rain step by step. He was so scared and after he reached inside, he gave a sigh of relief.
That's when I felt that, things are not looking that good. He's reached a stage where, he needs to either recover or be relieved of this misery.
This is not what I want for my father. This is not worth living like this. Something should happen. Then he fell and that life was much better because he was never in that, neither that side or this side. At least he was in one side. Like he didn't have to struggle. There were people to lift him, move him. We knew he required assistance. That was a stage where we didn't know that he needed assistance.
By the time they reach the severe stage, most of the time people become sort of immobile, they're not able to speak, they're not able to understand anything, and they need almost 100% care by a family member.
And many of them finally progress to the next stage where they're completely bedridden, they have difficulty in swallowing, there are absolutely no words, they're very quiet, but still I feel there is life in them.
Do not ask me to remember. Do not try to make me understand. Let me rest and know you're with me. Kiss my cheek and hold my hand. I'm confused beyond your contempt. I am sad and sick and lost. All I know is that I need you to be with me at all cost. Do not lose your patience with me. Do not scold or curse my cry. I can't help the way I'm acting. Can't be different, though I try. Just remember that I need you, that the best of me is gone. Please don't fail to stand beside me. Love me till my life is done.
Every 2 hours we give him something to eat because he feels hungry. Then 2 hours we give something to eat, and then lunch, evening tea, everything is in time. But
It has to be given by someone else. He can't eat himself. He can't tell also, I want this, I want that. Whatever we put in his mouth, he eats.
Each day is a different day though, because it's not the same. Today she may feel very hungry, she wants to eat the whole day. And maybe next 2-3 days she just says, I have already eaten, I don't want to eat at all.
They become very rigid when they are more made to eat. Their teeth become very stiff. They can't swallow. They have difficulties. So all these things have to be told to the caregiver. The caregiver's education is very, very important.
One of the first things to teach a caregiver is knowledge and information about the disease itself. We need to make them understand what is dementia, what are the symptoms and signs, what are all the clinical features, and what to expect in future. So what will happen to the disease, the fact that it's a slow, down-going, something that must be emphasized to the caregiver. We must also give hope to the caregiver by telling them and giving them information that it is not all hopeless. There is treatment that is available. Medical or drug treatment, psychosocial treatments which can actually support the person with dementia and also the caregivers.
As long as that individual is there, their quality of life is very important. We should look after them so that they enjoy their life to some extent, not to have the problems in their family, and as long as possible, as much as possible, we try to give them good quality of life.
True caring is caring with a big heart. It's very difficult, and it's very difficult for any of us to have such a big heart. Even for me as a counselor, it's easy to tell them that, okay, do this, do that. But I only say that and stop there. For the caregivers, it is very, very difficult. Their job starts once they know the person has dementia. So what do they have to do? How do they have to manage?
Aggressive at the time of giving bath, I don't know. He used to beat that boy. Even now, no, every day when he sits down, he beat him in the back. Not but there, even then he beats. He has so much strength, but they are now accustomed to it and they are tolerating him.
Last 11th month means which will come? 12th Sangler December.
Right.
If you tell 11th month, which one will come?
That's what I said.
Generally, we start off with a screening tool called Mini Mental Status Examination, MMSE. That would take hardly 10 minutes, which will rule out whether the person has any deficits that's specifically to do with memory or basic functions like attention. Once we find there is a problem, then only we'll be doing a detailed evaluation, which includes neuropsychological assessments.
Unfortunately, this is a disease where the pattern is not the same in all patients. So it's not like the same part of the brain is affected. So different people will present with different sets of symptoms, which is also the difficulty when it comes to recognizing that this is a disease, because the manifestations are so varied, and you'll have so many different ways that this illness can first present itself that it often goes missed.
My mother-in-law is 81 years old. She started losing her memory since then itself. There were times she used to have shower 3-4 times a day. She's forgotten, and it would be like she used to have a shower, come out, and within 5-10 minutes she used to go back again saying that I had not had my shower. There's a time I realized that she slowly. I'd known about it because my in-laws, sister-in-laws had told me that her mother suffered from Alzheimer's, and that she may be affected by it.
Once the diagnosis of dementia was made, we knew like these are the symptoms of dementia. This is likely to happen. This is how we have to handle. This is how we manage. So every problem started finding a solution. So he had improved quite a lot, but for about 2 to 3 years. But again, there was a downhill course for him. Afterwards, he fell, and after he fell, he had head injury, because of which he actually deteriorated in activities of daily living, but his brain was intact. He was able to recognize people, he was able to communicate, although he could not speak.
About 2 years back, it actually deteriorated. Suddenly, she went back to her childhood. She thought she was only 20 years old. She started questioning, why is it that my hair is gray and yours is black? I'm only 20 years old. That happened for about a month or so. After a period, then she started saying that she was just married and she was looking out for a husband. Where is he? And then suddenly she realized he had died. She used to cry every day, again for about 15-20 days, saying that she was a widow and nobody informed her about her husband's demise. What I used to do is, I used to play some music at times. We used to try and distract her so that she should stop crying. I used to tell my children to play with her. Children, the grandchildren used to keep her busy so that we could divert her mind from that sorrow.
This was a man telling me that his wife wanted to go to the temple in the evenings. Every evening she used to say, come, we used to go to the temple. So I told this man, tell her to dress up, tell her we'll go to the temple. Otherwise what would happen is, whenever she says, I want to go to the temple, and you say no, there is a fight. So this man, after 2 days, he comes back and tells me, whatever you said, your plan worked well. I told her to, whenever she said, I want to go to the temple, I told her, yes, go dress up. She goes to the bedroom, there she forgets something, she comes back. She says, okay, then I want some water to drink.
One fine day, she said she'd forgotten completely about her husband. She said, I want to go and meet my parents. Initially, when she used to say, I want to go and meet my parents, we used to usually visit the church. She used to go to the cemetery, pray for some time. She knew that her parents were dead. But this time when she said, I want to visit my parents, when I took her there, she was pretty angry with me, saying that my parents are alive and why are you taking me to the cemetery? And at that point of time, I didn't know what to tell her. So I just told her, your parents are out of station and they'll be back after 2 weeks. When they come back, I'll ask them to come and visit you. Initially, I didn't know. I did tell her that they are no more. And she cried for a week, saying that her parents were no more. That's the time I realized, since they live in a different world, which is real for them. So even if you tell them they are no more or anything, they won't accept it.
Interestingly enough, in dementia till date, all events would be preserved, conserved. The person would remember what happens ages ago, but what happened on the previous evening, the person may not be able to remember. And at the late age, many of my patients say that when her husband brings her, who is this, he asks, she says, my father. And daughter, he says, my mother. You know, so how can you imagine how distressing it could be like. As days pass by, memory slowly drops down, and ultimately the person becomes go into a vegetative existence.
He don't know who I am, who his daughter is. Sometimes he calls Kalpana, Kalpana, my daughter's name. Sometimes, once in a while, Kavya, my daughter-in-law, granddaughter's name. Sometimes call, but no, only he calls me Amma. Sometimes he calls Amma to other people also. If anybody comes near, Amma he calls.
dementia is an umbrella term. Dementia is all those symptoms that we talked about just now. And why you have those symptoms could be because of Alzheimer's disease, could be because of some of the other types of dementia like vascular, Lewy body, alcohol-related dementias, there's Parkinson's dementia. So there's many different types. 70 to 80% of the patients who suffer from dementia have it because of Alzheimer's disease.
There are social problems also. Because the person has dementia, the person is not allowed to go out anywhere. The person will be locked inside. In case the person goes out anywhere, where do they go? How do they manage? Even that is also another major problem.
Getting them out makes a huge difference. They feel like they're still leading a normal life. Certain cities, we have the advantage of daycare centers.
Starting from the school-going age to the elderly, everybody is stressed. Everybody is almost like a machine working from morning till evening. And there is no relaxation, there is no rest. So what is happening? The stress is increased. Add to the stress, we have other lifestyle disorders which are increased, like hypertension, diabetes. Then we have the cardiac heart problems, which are also on the rise. And these are all called lifestyle disorders. And then the people are also having certain habits, maybe in the form of smoking or alcohol. These are also adding to the problem. So as the age advances, these multiple factors operate. When these multiple factors operate, it is not that 1 + 1 becomes 2. It is 1 + 1 becomes 4.
You cannot say that you will not want to know about Alzheimer's or it's not going to affect you or your family. You never know who's going to live longer. If you live longer, there's a high chance that you're going to get it. Testing memory and having 1 or 2 scores less is not Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's is a disease where you have memory problems and additional problems. And in case the score is little low, then there are ways to improve it. Cognitive stimulation activities help in improving your memory score. Brain stimulation activities or cognitive stimulation activities are to be structured according to the need of the patient with cognitive impairment. So it will differ. You have to identify the interest of the patient, the pre-dementia phase or even earlier phase. Suppose it's a housewife who was all the time busy in the kitchen doing household work and nurturing the children. I'm sure she'll be happy doing something related to cooking, but you can't allow her to cook because it's dangerous. So you can give her something like cleaning the rice. So rice with stones you can add and give, or rice and dal you mix and ask her to separate it out. It's a very good cognitive activity. Somebody who's into making these batiyas for diyas, you can ask them to make that. I have a patient who used to tie beedies all her life. So giving beedies to tie was a very good thing for her. She was very happy doing it. Although it was clumsy and she couldn't sell it back, it kept her active. Similarly, there is something called as Alzheimer's baby. Somebody who had many children, they'll be happy to have a baby in hand. And the baby looks like a real baby, and giving it to them, they'll probably spend hours looking at the baby and trying to put the baby to sleep or trying to make the baby smile, and it'll give a lot of happiness to them. Also, it keeps them active.
A lot of studies have shown that in comparison to physical and cognitive, in fact, the social activities that we engage ourselves in are probably the most powerful preventive strategy. And there's a joke about this which says that people who gossip the most probably, help the most to delay the onset of dementia, because they constantly have to remember so many facts and new facts. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to gossip.
You should not think that you're grown old, you're retired, you've worked enough, you want to sit and relax at home. So sitting and relaxing at home and simply sitting and watching the TV is not going to help. It just helps in degeneration of the brain. So come out of that. So engage yourself in lots of activities. Whatever you could not do because of your busy schedule, you can do it now. Develop new hobbies, learn new languages, go for walk, exercise, yoga. There are so many options. So doing it alone at home, again, it's not a good thing, because social activity is very, very important. So make new friends. Oh, if you don't have old friends, because all the older people feel depressed sitting at home. That friend is no more, this friend is no more, that fellow had heart attack, this fellow had cancer. You'll start wondering what you're going to die of. Whereas if you come out and make new friends, there are elderly people who are nearing 100 who are active still. So you could be one of them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4,
I
5.
might have been unsuccessful as a doctor, but I tried my best to succeed as a daughter. Based on my experience, I would like to urge you to do two things. First of all, come out of the denial mode. It's not me. It's never going to happen to me. Secondly, start thinking from today how you're going to prevent Alzheimer's from happening to you and your family. But the truth of the matter is that even if you do everything right, if the monster wants you, it's going to get you. Especially me, because Alzheimer's tends to run in my family. I am looking at the third option also. I am preparing myself to get Alzheimer's disease.
The research has shown that this process of dementia, wherein certain chemicals are deposited in the brain, it's called as amyloid, and the brain cells degenerate. This is a process that starts maybe at 30, 40 years of age. So one of the strategies that is used to prevent is the same strategies that are advised for preventing heart disease. So we have this adage that what is good for the heart is also good for the brain. So advising young people to take care of their heart and their brain is done by asking them to exercise, be active, have a healthy, balanced diet, have enough mental and physical activity.
Prevention is good. I'm doing everything that's required to prevent Alzheimer's. I'm eating right. I'm exercising every day. I'm keeping my mind active. That's what the experts say that you should do. But the experts also say that there's no guarantee that all this is going to prevent you from getting Alzheimer's. I'm learning to do things that will keep my mind and muscles active, like drawing, like playing a musical instrument.
Cognitive is doing something different. Okay, so in that sense, if I have always been a banker and post-retirement, I want to volunteer for somebody else to help with their accounts, that is doing nothing to my brain. It is, filling a social cause, but it's doing nothing for my brain. Whereas if I decide that post-retirement, since I've always been dealing with numbers and, books, why don't I try learning some cooking, which is completely different from what I've ever done? Or why don't I learn to play a musical instrument? That would be exercise for your brain.
I'm also trying to build my physical strength by exercising. My dream is to create 10 memory clinics, city, rural, everywhere, at least around wherever I am. So we are getting people trained to do memory assessments. We are getting people from NIMANS to train us. And I want to set up all levels of care. People who are active, they can join the daycare center. That will prevent progression. Quite a few dementia patients are members of our active aging group. And they are maintaining pretty well. And then those who can't come, we are providing some services of exercise and all at home only. I've trained some people who will go and provide those services. Brain activity, etc. We are serving in their own houses. And then when they need, when they're bedridden and then they can't afford, we are trying to create hospices where they can be taken care of. When you get dementia, it gets harder and harder to enjoy yourself. You cannot enjoy talks with friends and family because you do not know who they are. It's confusing to watch TV and reading is just about impossible. When you take on the role of a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer, you get trained for it. They train you to engage the patient in activities that are familiar, hands-on and open-ended. I took my father to his college and to the daycare center where he used to exercise with his friends and people of his age group. He liked it. The familiarity was comforting. We gave him a notebook to write in. He used to doodle in it and do all his income tax calculations. He felt happy. But it got me thinking, what would my kids do when put in such a situation with me? I see patients all the time and I read clinical reports and research papers. Will they give me old medical journals to scribble? Or will they take me to the hospital ward that I have started? So I'm trying to learn to do things that I could get used to and engage in with ease. I have always liked to be with my seniors. So I'm taking the responsibility of managing Nava Chaitanya, which I've set up to look after the senior citizens. Probably I would be very happy with them exercising, smiling, laughing, dancing. And finally, the third thing, I'm trying to become a better person. My father was a very active and social person before he got Alzheimer's. I've seen him lose his intellect, his writing and analytical skills, but I've also seen his love being sustained. He loved me, he loved his wife, he loved his children, his grandchildren, his students and his friends. It was this love that made all of us remain around him all the time, wanting to care for him constantly. It is this love that makes us remember him so much and miss him so much. It's a powerful thing to remain in the lives of your loved ones, to remain a happy memory to them. Last 3 months, he was very quiet. He stopped responding to my voice also. And he would close his eyes, like he would pretend as though he's sleeping. And I think he had made up his mind that by whatever cause I lived for, it's over.
I wanted peaceful life. Now, after after losing him, I am happy, peaceful, but I still miss him.
I don't miss him because I feel he's around. I always feel in whatever I do, I see him. I see my father in every elderly person. So I don't miss his presence. I feel he's there. He's there, he's living, and every day there's somebody who will talk about him. My patients, my somebody. There's somebody who will talk about some good thing about him. He's gone for 10 years, but even today I have somebody coming to my clinic. Oh, you are daughter of so-and-so. He was such a great person. That makes me feel that he's not gone. His good work has made him immortal.
कर चलो, विचार कर चलो, राह की मुसीबतों को पार कर चलो, राह की मुसीबतों को पार कर चलो, पार कर चलो.
When you take away everything that my father left behind in this world, the purity of his heart still shines. His honesty is still a monument. I was probably never as upright and honest as my father, never as loving as my father. But what I need to learn to do now is to be just like that. I need a heart so pure that if it is stripped bare by Alzheimer's, it will survive. I want a cure to be discovered in the next 10 years so that we can all be protected. I do not want to get Alzheimer's, but if it comes to me, I want to be ready. I want to be remembered when I stop remembering.
I love you with all my heart. Tomorrow we might have been married, but rambling has kept us apart. Beautiful, beautiful brown eyes, beautiful, beautiful brown eyes, beautiful, beautiful brown eyes. I'll never love blue eyes so much.